Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's. Well, it's our third Tuesday Go to Natchitoches radio show, but it's also our garden gossip show because there's gossip going on in Natchitoches, Louisiana. It is, after all, the oldest settlement in the state of Louisiana. So they've got gossip that dates back to way back to when the Native Americans were home. And then the Spanish came in. You've got the Cajun, Creole cultures. You've got British in there. You got a little bit of everybody is in Natchitoches. Natchitoches, the downtown is on the actual Cane River lakefront. It's a beautiful riverfront. We're going to be talking about the area being a home and garden destination and just the historic downtown district with all the historic buildings and the flower baskets. The waterfront is beautiful. It's home to the Cane River Creole National Historical Park. It is actually part of the Cane River National Heritage Area, and it's the final destination of the El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail. So check it all out at natchitoches.com. And you've also see our stories on blendradioandtv.com and nationalparktraveling.com. But natchitoches.com is the website to go to. And I'm going to spell that because it just isn't what you all think unless you've been there. It's Natchitoches. So it's Natchitoches, like little Natchitoches. So welcome, Kelly West is back and Arlene Gould, both from the Natchitoches Convention Visitors Bureau. Hi, ladies. How you doing? Hey, y'all.
Hey,
we're good.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, y'all. Hey, y'all, and hi, y'all. So how are you doing? You know, Louisiana, we're recording this here in September, end of September. Louisiana's obviously been making headlines, New Orleans, and even now this recent storm. I'm really glad you're both here today. But also we want people to know that Natchitoches is open, right? Because for a lot of us, you know, looking at the national news, we may think, don't go to Louisiana. How is your state doing as a whole, and how is Natchitoches?
Well, I can tell you that Natchitoches is doing fine. We kind of escaped both hurricanes Ida and the tropical storm and depression Nicholas. However, our partners to the south didn't fare so well from Ida. And primarily, not just New Orleans was more of a wind event, but our surrounding parishes, our coastal parishes like Jefferson, Lafourche, Terrebonne, which would be a county to most people, but there are about 25 surrounding parishes that took a very hard hit from Ida that are still recovering. And so our thoughts and prayers are with them as they go through the recovery process, because it will be a while. There were some communities that were like Grand Isle, Louisiana, which is the southernmost part of Jefferson Parish, where we have a state park, but they were pretty much out. And even Lafourche, Homa, Homa and Terrebonne Parish, they took a hard hit. And so we're keeping them in our thoughts and prayers as they go through the recovery process.
How's Lake Charles doing? I know that Lake Charles is also a partner with you with being part of the no man's land stretch of really cool history of Louisiana where there was no law and order for 3 years.
Well, they got rain. Oh my God, probably 10 inches over, maybe some areas over 10 inches of rain from that tropical storm.
Wow.
That hit, because it came in just south of Houston. So you have to remember anything to the east side is where it always hits the most, and the storm surges. And Lake Charles took a beating with rain this week since Hurricane Nicholas came in. I think it was on Sunday or Monday it came in. But it's been raining for 5 days in some of those areas with flash floods. And so, yeah. But
that's a lot.
Louisiana, we're strong.
I know you have hurricane parties,
fight.
right? Yeah.
You got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I want to know, Kelly, is the drive-through daiquiri place still open?
Oh, yeah, of course.
We need to make sure some of that is going on. We all need a little, chill out during all of this. I know even our friends in California and Oregon have been going through so much with wildfires. It's just, can we stop it now? Can COVID, wildfires, hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes, all of it, can we just have a, breath of fresh air and stop it?
Yeah, there are hurricanes and then there are hurricanes.
Exactly. Yes. I like the hurricanes that come in the glass. Nancy
I do. But I do think we need to start planting more trees. I think that's part of the solution, and it'll take a while. But the longer we wait, the more of this sort of thing we might experience. So
because we're running out of barrier islands. I mean, we're running out of land to kind of those storm surges from coming in.
Right.
I know in Lafitte, where I personally have family and friends, they had probably a 10 to 12 foot storm surge. And
Wow.
I mean, I've had family members with up to 6 feet of water in their lower level of their house.
Wow.
And then when it settles, you've got all this marsh. I mean, all that just kind of comes in with the surge. And then when it settles, it's a mucky mud with mixed with a lot of the marsh.
And you could have a gator in your basement suddenly.
I know. You walk downstairs. There's like iguanas and gators.
Next thing you know, they're going to be walking up to Shreveport. Like,
we have a lot of gators here in Natchitoches, you know, with the gator park. But yeah, those gators get around. Let me tell you.
I know, Kelly, you and your family like to go kayaking. How are you feeling right now with the extra gators?
It's good. It's still good because even though, yes, there may be some alligators out there, they don't bother,
They don't like people. We just went on a boat ride. We like boat rides. Now you guys have the Cane River Queen that takes you down so you can see the downtown and you can check out people's houses and get the gossip, So we like that. And you could kayak, right? Like you do. But we did a boat trip with Bakula Springs in Florida. And they take this is like the largest spring, deep water spring. Don't ask me all the geology stuff, but it's cool. But there's this dive where you can go down 40 feet deep. They're diving, and this is a spring area, and there's a rope around it. It's a state park, and then you go on the boat ride, and you're seeing gators and snakes and turtles and all of these birds. It's beautiful, and you go right around, and it's where they filmed Tarzan twice. I know Tarzan's been filmed in Louisiana too.
The original in 1918.
Oh, there we go. See, but I'm like, how did they do all this filming and how did Tarzan keep, was it Johnny Weissmuller, Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah. How did he keep his, toesies not snapped off by gators? But apparently the gators, they've never had an incident in 40 years since they started it. Never an incident with people in the water and gators, because the gators are just like, leave me alone, y'all.
Yeah. See, they're totally different than crocodiles. Having lived in Africa, if there's a splash in the water, all the crocs go off the bank and they go towards the sound like, ooh, let's get it, whatever it is. And gators go the other way.
Yeah.
So you're lucky that they're not crocs, because crocodiles are totally aggressive and totally anything that splashes is something they want to eat. Their nature. Yeah. So here, I look at the alligators and I hear a splash and they just sun it on the bank like, wow, so what? They're like hippies.
Feel that.
Hey, wow.
Okay, now we're going to see she's gossiping already. We're going to get the emails, we're going to get the comments coming. So let's talk about gardens and, this is being a garden destination. I think, Nancy, the first time we went to Natchitoches, it's one of the first things that it's just so beautiful and charming downtown, the architecture. So going, when you get to downtown Natchitoches, go to the Visitor Bureau first. Obviously you can check in your hotel or your B&B, but go to the Visitor Bureau first. You've got maps and all the information, but a self-guided walking tour that you can do. And also, you can also do it at the Cane River National Heritage Area, go on one of their guided tours. But Kelly, wouldn't that be the first thing to do, to just kind of get an idea before you understand the historic homes and the plants and the flowers, is to go on that walking tour to kind of give an idea of the history behind where you're walking?
Definitely. I always suggest the walking tour kind of as an introduction, because it really gives you kind of the base and the background of how Natchitoches was established and why it was established here, and how it grew as a community. And it starts out right here on Front Street, but walks you straight down into Beaujardin, our beautiful garden that's downtown. So seeing that garden, which you have in your background, is one of the first things that visitors get to see if they go on that walking tour.
So I call it Beaujardin. So it's not, I'm getting that wrong.
Beaujardin.
Beaujardin.
Oh my gosh. I'm not speaking Louisiana yet. I'm not getting there, but I'm learning. Give me another daiquiri. I'll be good.
Beaujardin.
But Beaujardin, and then that's also, you've got waterfalls and flowers, and I know the flowers change out seasonally too. But you've also got the rock house, which I call the roque house, but apparently that's not right either. The roquet.
That would be roquet.
Yeah,
The
the
roquet, I
roquet.
like that.
we can play croquet at the roquet house, but this is a historic house right there on the waterfront, and you got flowers, and so that's part of the history too that you get to see.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So weddings, that's a wedding venue?
It is. Those right in. They rent them out. They rent it out for weddings with the waterfall there in the background, receptions.
Nice.
It is gated off, so it can be kind of secluded and, you know, put off for a private event. Destination weddings are definitely something that happens in that garden quite often.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you two are like, your office is just across the street. So when there's a wedding going on, do you go like sneak a peek and go, I didn't know those two were hitching?
No, but it is nice to see everybody down here and having a good time, and the wedding parties, because a lot of their guests come from out of town, and for many it's their first time visiting Natchitoches. But we have locals too that decide we have numerous amounts of engagements. You would not believe how many people go down there to get engaged.
Ah,
Oh,
It's
well,
one of my
pretty.
favorite really
Yeah.
nice spots for engagements.
well, you've got
Hmm.
all the churches, the historic churches, to get married in too. I mean, to have your,
Mhm.
that's, to do the serious vows, the I
Yes.
do's, that's pretty intense with the churches that you have too. So I can imagine a lot of people coming for the gardens, than just that to get married in that history, like St. Augustine's. Hello, speaking of weddings, there was a movie scene apparently in St. Augustine's church.
A big one, a pink one.
Pink
Okay,
and
pink one.
Pink and pink.
It was blushing.
Blushing bashful.
So that is all. See, we're talking about flowers. Steel Magnolias was written.
Mm.
It's a true story based in Natchitoches, and so you've got the Steel Magnolias film trail, and so that's a way to, I would say, one of the best ways to see the historic homes and some of the pocket gardens too, because that also ties in.
Mm.
You've got all these I call them pocket gardens, but these pocket parks throughout, and that's something for communities to think of, is to utilize their space into these beautiful areas that you've got interpretive signs and fountains and flowers, benches for people to rest when they're doing that big walking tour downtown. But it's a nice way to beautify a city. And I think that's part of your specialty. But one of the pocket parks is new. That's part of the Jefferson Highway. I remember the beginning of that.
That is correct. And we dedicated that probably 2 years ago.
October 28th.
Yeah, in October of 2 years ago. And we had been doing some research on the Jefferson Highway, which is the first intercontinental highway from Winnipeg, Canada, that went all the way through the Louisiana Purchase territory to New Orleans. And of course, Jefferson Street, where Steel Magnolia House and the Fort St. John Baptiste and many other historic homes are located, that takes you straight to the Front Street area. That was the original route of the Jefferson Highway. So we had this plot of land, and the city and the Cane River National Heritage Area developed it into the Jefferson Street Pocket Park. And we have more later on. Hopefully we can develop it more, where we can have a walkway leading to the Cane River, because it goes
nice.
to the nature preserve. So it turned out very nice. We're really, really pleased with it. There's now a pavilion where people can have picnics there, and little parking spots. And
Oh, wow.
Nice. Very
That's
nice.
cool. That's cool. And you have the
Yeah.
one too. And Kelly, this one is part of the Steel Magnolias heritage too.
The Susan Harling Robertson Park, yes. Located just a short walk from the Steel Magnolia House, short walk from the American Cemetery, where the cemetery scene was filmed. And it's dedicated to the real life Shelby, basically the person that Shelby's character was based on. And it tells her story and her fight with diabetes and the things that she went through there, as well as part of our walk of honor. Those marble slabs are there as well for the main characters and main actresses in the film. So Julia Roberts, Dolly Parton, Olympia Dukakis.
Yeah, we like her.
Charlie McLean.
Yeah.
They all have their walk of honor marbles there.
I think
Nice.
you need to take
I
your
like it.
armadillo cake and have it like
Yes.
Bronzed.
And it
bronzed.
bronze. Maybe we need an armadillo cake bronze. That's an idea. I like that.
I like that too.
I know we like your armadillo cake. I think we need to
Yeah.
put the picture in the magazine for everyone to see the armadillo cake. I mean,
I
come
still
on.
want to make one.
That
I
cake
really
was
do.
very famous back in the 80s when the movie was filmed. And the two ladies locally that did it, they baked, I don't know, 30 something
40,
cakes,
something like
Wow.
several dozen cakes before, to get it right. But 2 years ago, when we had the Blush and Bashful event to celebrate the 30-year anniversary, we had a armadillo cake baking contest at Northwestern University, and it was really great. It really was. So I think we had 5 cakes turned out, and then we served them at the movie theater where we showed the movie, and we had 4 movie theaters sold out that night, but everybody got a piece of armadillo cake and some Blush and Bashful punch before going to the movie for the 30-year anniversary.
I remember Nancy and I really wanted to make an armadillo cake,
I
and we
really
were
still
staying in a
want to.
hotel, and they wouldn't let us use their commercial
I know.
kitchen. Apparently, we're not trained
Licensed
and licensed to be allowed to
and they
do
didn't
that.
understand armadillo.
But
They were like, no.
No, it's
But like,
armadillo. And
yeah, they thought we were gonna like kill an armadillo.
No, and they don't have
make a cake from it.
Yeah, we
Like,
no.
ew.
But no, they didn't. We weren't allowed, but we really wanted to enter a cake, at least virtually, or ship you an armadillo cake and see if it gets there. But it didn't work. But maybe one day we'll have to wait for another big anniversary of Steel Magnolias to do it. But we will.
Well, it's funny you said that about shipping the cake, because we had a travel show down in Baton Rouge, and we had the winner of the cake contest. She did us a cake, but it was molded out of Rice Krispie.
Yeah.
Rice Krispie, you mix it with marshmallow. So she molded it, and then she put all the icing on it and everything. So we took it down to the show, but instead of cutting it, we just had it as like a centerpiece, and everybody loved it. But we had the little cupcakes that were easier to serve. The red velvet cupcakes with the buttercream icing.
Ooh, red velvet.
And we had little armadillo on toothpicks stuck. So we took it back home, and we kept it in the refrigerator here at the office for a year. Because, and every time we took it out of the box, it still smelled like icing. It held up very well.
Wow.
My staff told me I needed to throw it away after a year, but I just loved pulling it out every now and then.
You took it home. I know you did.
Did you eat
it? But I loved pulling it out and just surprising people with it. Well, here, we have a surprise for you.
Well, let's hear it for Rice Krispies.
I know. So this is okay. Since it's a home and garden show, this is the gossip of, get your armadillo cake going. But do armadillos do damage in gardens? Do you know, or they just wrestle around and eat the bugs and stuff?
I think they just eat the bugs.
That's cool then. That's good for your garden.
Yeah.
Okay, we like them.
I think they're cool.
They're cute. They're cute. They're really cute.
They are.
I want to be, you get married and get your photos done at Beaujardin.
Beaujardin.
Beaujardin. And all of a sudden an armadillo gets up on the lady's, wedding train. But anyway, okay. I'll be good.
She's fine.
So you got these pocket parks, but then you've also got the big historical parks and plantation homes. Cane River Creole National Historical Park. I think what's great, we talk about garden gossip and, garden getaways, but you've got to think about how people lived way back when. And Oakland Plantation, which really, you've got the plantation house, so you learn about that. They have one of the coolest gardens on the planet. It's the bottle garden. Now it's at the front of the plantation, and apparently they'd have a glass of wine and use the bottle as a border. And we did that. Once we saw that, we did our own garden like that, because we had our back in the day of our Champagne Sunday shows, we had a champagne border for our plants, and it worked. But they have that, but they show also how farming was done in agriculture, which is part of gardening. And it's a bicentennial farm, isn't it? Bicentennial farmhouse.
Correct.
And it goes all the way to like the 50s and 60s. So when you go in the kitchen, it's like stepping not way back, but it's
like my granny's kitchen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really cool. And they have the big sugarcane pots. So so did you grow sugarcane out here too? in Natchitoches area, or was that more? I thought it was more central.
Not as much, but they did have, a lot of the plantations had the big sugarcane pots. Mostly at Oakland, it was cotton. That's why they called it King Cotton at the plantation. They were one of the first plantation in North Louisiana to grow cotton.
Oh, and that's what's so interesting about Melrose Plantation. I mean, not Melrose, Magnolia, because Magnolia and Oakland are part of Cane River Creole National Historical Park, but on Magnolia, they have that cotton gin that you don't get to see anymore.
Correct.
No, yeah, the one screw cotton press.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nancy made me go where the donkey used to go around in
That's
those
right.
circles.
Yeah, so walk
like,
around
you-
and yes.
You will be like the
Yeah, you
donkey.
can still see where they'd turn around,
Yes,
they'd go in a
exactly.
circle, and more they went in a circle, that they tightened up that bale of cotton.
That's what
See?
Nancy made me do. She's like, you need to go in the circle. You need to feel what it was like. I did. But so then also let's talk about Melrose Plantation, because just the oak trees and the gardens and the different style. They have like the African house. They've got just the architecture there is so different. Isn't it a landmark, Kelly? It's a National Historic
Yes.
Landmark?
A national treasure.
Yeah.
House.
The African House is Louisiana's only named national treasure by the National Trust.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, but back in the day, Miss Cammie Henry had quite the garden out there as well. It was actually between the Ghana house and the African house, but she had a huge flower garden, and of course they grew vegetables as well, but they had gardens out there, and of course the oak trees are just so beautiful with the resurrection fern. You know how when it's dry it's brown, but as soon as it rains it turns into this lush, beautiful green fern, and it's just amazing how it just comes to life.
Must be happy right now.
Very.
The resurrection fern is resurrecting on a daily basis, right now. But with the Melrose Plantation too, it's a hub for events. Kelly, I know that in October they're having their folk art festival, but are they still doing their spring festival? They have like an arts festival.
Yeah, they're still doing their Melrose Arts and Crafts Festival in the spring, usually sometime around April. So yes, continuing, they were able to have it this last year. It was outside, socially distanced, wonderful arts and crafts vendors. And then they added this folk art festival. This will be the inaugural year coming up in October. But it really celebrates the folk artists, which are really what, lived and breathed at Melrose. And a lot, Clementine Hunter herself being a folk artist. And October 1st is Clementine Hunter Day, and named in the state of Louisiana. And so having the folk art festival right there, right outside where her restored house is, right on the grounds of Melrose during the month of October, is so fitting.
That's nice.
That is awesome. And then also, I want to go back to downtown on the riverfront. That's a huge, area for events like your Christmas, your lights festival. What is it? 95 years this year? 95 years?
95 years.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang. When you get to the centennial, there's going to be a really big party going on. Holy
Big
cow.
party.
I think you should just
Party.
celebrate Christmas year round at that point. Like when it's 100 years, or just do 100 days or something. I mean, no man's land was
100
years.
days Christmas for the 100th anniversary.
Yeah, that sounds, that means we
good.
get a present every day.
Ooh,
That's
I
right.
like that.
Is that getting, that's
Yeah.
better? Kelly's liking that. Your kids would like that.
Santa Claus is going to be busy.
I know. But spring too is blooming on the bricks. That's another event. So that's a flower. It's like a flower festival, or it's art as well.
It's both. So Blooming on the Bricks usually has plants and flowers, trees, anything grown, garden accessories, but also most times they partner with our local art gallery and art guild to do art along the bricks as well. So you get your gardening, but you also get home, handmade, unique art as well.
So when you say
Garden
on the
art.
bricks, this is an important thing too, because you even have brick streets, and Front Street is brick, right? And you all had to fight for that, right, Arlene? For those bricks to stay?
Yes, Oh, I would say many, many decades ago, the Department of Transportation was going to pull up the bricks and put down the asphalt, and the Preservation Society and the ladies here in Natchitoches said no way. So they kind of got together and locked their arms and had on their little petticoat dresses and sat in the street, and they had the college up, and the governor said let them have their bricks.
Don't mess with all these women. You're gonna get
That's right. Don't be messing with them.
One of our historians, Miss Sadie Newell, she's deceased now, but she used to always say that that's the reason we still have our historic buildings. You know, we couldn't afford to tear them down, so here we still have them. But some of those buildings are date back to the 1800s. So,
wow.
yeah.
It's important to keep them.
They had the foresight to preserve back then. So.
Right.
So,
yeah.
The other event that you had, and I know it changed dates, was the sail on the trail. And I bring this up because it's, the El Camino Real de los Tejas National Historic Trail. But it goes between Natchitoches and Nacogdoches, Texas, and I think a little further out from there, but that's the main portion. So anybody who's into home and garden and decor, isn't this like this just a giant yard sale along the highway? Like everybody just comes out and
like 111 miles from Nacogdoches, Texas to Natchitoches, Louisiana, of garage sales, yard sales, just
flea markets, antiques.
Yeah. So and it's the first weekend in May of every year is when we normally have it. So
you need a big truck. You really need a big truck to go there.
People come in either large SUVs or sometimes they even bring box trucks if they know that they're going to be picking up a good bit of stuff along the route.
So what about American Pickers? Have they been by?
I think at one time they were in like around Magnolia several years ago. That they were looking at some of the garages, some of the old garages down the river, but that was several years ago, about 5 or 7 years ago.
They need to go like picking in all the old juke joints that
still here for sure.
You just got to look under the brambles and you'll see that they're there. Yeah, well, it's true. There's all kinds of things out there. When you go out driving around, you're like, okay, what was that building? Is it still going? If you get closer under the berries, you'll, that are growing all around these, they're kind of like hidden gems, Do
you remember Bubba's down the river? It's not there anymore. It's gone. Yeah, it's gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
no, put it back.
Put it back. I think you should have plaques like where they were.
Yeah, the historical markers. Yeah,
because people travel for all the music, and you've got a lot of music heritage. You've got the country music. You've got the country music museum, and that was interesting. We were in Gladewater, Texas, and the music. Some of the history that we learned about in the Country Music Museum tied into their museum history of Elvis and Johnny Cash, and how all these musicians were going on the route through Natchitoches in this area, your area. And so it was like the Louisiana hayrides or something.
Yeah, Louisiana hayrides.
So it was I was like, no way, this is the route. We were just there and now we're on it. This is cool.
Yeah.
But so it's really neat to see that connection between regions,
I don't know if you knew this, but Johnny Cash had a fishing lure called Cane River Bait Company that he and Johnny Horton, who wrote the Battle Hymn, is it Battle Hymn of New Orleans? I believe it was. I can't remember the exact title of the song. Very popular back in the 50s, but Johnny Cash and Johnny Horton here in Natchitoches on Cane River had a fishing lure company where they would make fishing lures and sell them. But we have pictures of them here in Natchitoches on Cane River fishing.
Wow.
What? See what we have to do, get you on a garden show to talk about fishing and Johnny Cash. See how we get our gossip?
Who knew, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, I tell you what, that's neat. I had no idea that Johnny Cash came out. But then look at all the music you have. I hope the Folk Music Festival comes back next year. I still keep talking about that every time you guys come on the show. I love that. I love
great.
That was one of the most special events I've ever been to my entire life.
At the Folk Festival. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, okay, we got the events covered. We've got Beau Jardin, Beau Jardin,
Beaujardin.
and the Rock House, the Rock. And so that's your downtown area, but I want to go out into the woods a bit. Before we do, because you got the dark haunted woods, the dark woods, or if you want to get scared, if you want to get scared, but they also do really cool Christmas and everything like that. But you have a Christmas tree farm, which I want to go to the Christmas tree farm. That's cool. So when people go and buy their Christmas tree, and you wouldn't think you wouldn't think that that's where go to the middle of Louisiana and get a Christmas tree. It's kind of not the thing you would think, but you do grow.
Here in Louisiana, we have a lot of timber. I mean, that's one of our biggest industries. So yeah, but they have a Christmas tree farm just down the road off of Highway 6, which is the El Camino Real.
Oh, there you are. So tree wise, and you want to go see trees and hike in them, Kisatchie National Forest, that's back open. I remember for a while it got a little damage from the hurricanes, but you guys sent us on a trail to see the largest Grand Canyon, the Louisiana Grand Canyon, and the two big buttes. we found the buttes. It rained on us. We had a nice summer storm. We saw little piggies out in the forest, but we saw flowers. And we did a lot more also in Kisatchie National Forest. But what's really neat is you got the big pines, the long
leaf pine.
Longleaf pine, yep. And then at the same time, all the hardwoods like magnolias. Of course, you all have magnolias everywhere. But where all these flowers and azaleas, and apparently there's a time of year when is that, Kelly? When we should go?
The wild azaleas usually bloom. It's different every year, but it's usually later March, middle to late March, early April, and they only bloom for a few short weeks. But it's a really beautiful time. But yeah, then Kisatchie's got some really unique plants, very much native to this area. Pitcher plants are one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, cool. Carnivorous.
Yes. Yes. And seeing those, because obviously the streams and the water springs and things like that run through, and the pitcher plants really love that water. So,
and they eat the mosquitoes and bugs.
They do eat bugs. So
cool.
That's a friend of mine.
Another time of the year in Kisatchie is the dogwood trail, when the dogwood trees are coming, because they're absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the dogwood trees, but they're
beautiful
and they're really pretty.
Yeah, they are.
So is that more like May, June?
Around Easter time. And usually it's the funniest thing, because Easter dates change every year, but the dogwoods for some reason are always blooming around Easter time.
The lilies are like that in the desert. There's like the peace lily, or they call it ajo lily too, because they smell like garlic. These lilies, and they only bloom if you got the rain at the right time. It's every few years to get a really prolific bloom of these Easter lilies. And when it was lockdown in COVID, the very first lockdown, I should say, and we were out in 29 Palms Joshua Tree at our friends, would go out walking in their land because we could be socially distant, and lo and behold, over Easter, they bloomed. And they are known as like the Easter lilies, and it, like you said, how Easter changes, but those will bloom over Easter. It's interesting.
It's like they know when it's Easter.
Yeah,
yes.
They know. They want to go. They want some chocolate. They want a chocolate Easter bunny. So that's and then also the other part. Kelly, you took us to just one of our favorite places is Briarwood, at Carolyn Dorman Preserve. I mean, we were there in summer, and the flowers were just, knee-high meadow flower. I mean, flower power to the max. Is that open year-round, or?
So no, but it's actually about to open for its fall season. It'll be open October and November for the fall season, and then it will open back in March. So, but we're very excited that it's fixing to open back up and be ready to take visitors around again. Cool. But yeah, they have the wildflower meadow, thousands and thousands of individual plants. Caroline Dorman herself, being a forester, she would travel all over the place, and she would bring back plants from all of her travels, and she would just plant it out there. And it just is an excellent nature preserve. that really tells a flora story for sure.
It's good for
Nice.
kids to go out there and
Mhm.
learn too.
Yeah.
You know, because
I
there's
love it out at Briarwood. It's just so peaceful and serene.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just because you're in the deep thick of nature, you know.
Mhm.
I want to go stay in her little cabin.
I know, wouldn't that be
Yeah.
fun?
I want to be overnight in the woods. And they got that pond, little
Mhm.
marsh area with frogs and, you know, all kinds of good
So
stuff out there.
nice.
And
I
with
know.
the grandpappy pine tree,
Yeah,
one
you
of the
got
oldest, tallest pine trees in the state.
see, you got to go see Grandpappy.
Grandpappy.
All right. So in closing, ladies, it's garden gossip. Now, you know Natchitoches Parish better than we would ever, but you know, we need to go in spring or fall, Nancy. We keep going
Oh,
in July.
spring.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what
you
it
can go
is.
in summer when it's hot.
I know we come right at,
Yeah.
you know, end of July. Here we come. But spring
But
and fall, we're gonna have to.
spring would be good.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. But if you could take over anyone's house or bed and breakfast, because you got so many gorgeous bed and breakfasts, you know they have flower power too. Just for a weekend, you know how we pet sit across America, like, but you don't have to do any work. You can just go in and you get to, you know, live high in a beautiful, beautiful mansion, or maybe you want to do the cabin, you know, Carolyn Dorman's cabin. Where would you be for a weekend if you could be anywhere? Just to enjoy the garden and the
You
home.
go first.
I know what your answer is going to be, though.
What?
I mean,
You go first.
oh, goodness.
Where would I-
Okay.
What do you think mine would be?
Samuel Guidehouse.
Well, yeah, Santa's House is one of my favorites, and they have a beautiful garden. It's Olive's garden in the backyard, and Miss Olive was Huey P. Long's sister,
Oh,
and
wow.
she taught at the normal school, which is Northwestern State University. But the property where the Samuel Guy House is, which is a beautiful historic home and bed and breakfast, that's where the house was put on.
That's
Olive's.
the one by the cemetery.
Yes, right behind the.
Ah,
It's funny.
That
She
was
took
in
us there,
Nebraska
Kelly.
house.
Oh, the
Nebraska
fountain.
house has a really nice one because they have a garden and a fountain right next to it, and it's right across the street from the Steel Magnolia house.
oh, that's
Those
nice.
are all nice.
Yeah.
She's hopping
Oh,
around. Okay,
you.
Kelly, where are you going?
But those aren't my choices. But go ahead.
Oh,
I mention them.
let's see. I would probably say maybe maybe Violet Hill, because it's walking distance to downtown, but it's also right on the lake.
Is this a
So
bed and breakfast?
it's a bed and breakfast.
Called Violet Hill? I want to go just for the
Nice.
name.
And you can, and the dock and deck is out on Cane River, so you can
Oh,
go
no
down.
way.
Oh, nice.
They do weddings and stuff out on that dock as well, and receptions and things. So I'd probably say somewhere like that.
Okay.
Ooh.
Nice.
I was thinking, and I'll make it short, Oak Lawn Plantation, not Oak Land, which is the national park, but Oak Lawn is Bobby Harlan's home. It's a plantation home, but it also has the third longest driveway in the state of oak trees. And
Oh.
part of the movie, The Horse Soldiers with John Wayne was filmed there because of the long driveway. But back in the day when I first moved here, Bobby's mother, Miss Margaret Harlan from the Steel Magnolia movie, she and I used to go and pick zinnias. She had a zinnia garden
Oh.
that was a really, really big,
Mm.
nothing but zinnias. And her and I would put on
Oh, wow.
our white plastic boots and get some buckets and go cut zinnias. And then Bobby also had a huge, I'm talking maybe, I don't know, 80 to 100 rose bushes. So he had a really
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So,
Nice.
yeah, and I think I've never stayed there, but the house, it just sits back off the road and it's just so pretty, and I think I'd like to spend
It's
a
peaceful
weekend.
downriver as
Yeah.
well. It's so quiet down there.
It's real close to where I get down there.
You can hear nature, you
Mm.
know.
Oh,
you
we
know,
like
all-
that.
Cool.
Yeah.
We
But
like
you have
that.
big oak trees, and then, like I said, he had, all the zinnias, and just go
Cool.
cut flowers, and you take them back in the house and make little vases,
Oh,
and then
nice.
of course the roses too, the roses. So
Oh, I dig this. Nancy, what about you?
Where would I go to stay?
Yeah, in Natchitoches.
Oh, gosh. Let me see. Well, the one place we stayed, was it the Sugar
Sugar in, sugar cane,
sugar in, sugar
Sweet
cane
cane.
in.
Sweet cane.
Sweet
the
cane.
sweet cane in.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really nice. I'd go there again in a flash.
The Victorian house. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really nice.
I
Is
want to
that
go to
really
the
sweet
Sweet
cane?
Magnolias bed and breakfast because
Oh,
you
Steel
know.
Magnolias?
Still
Yeah.
make sweet magnolia. Now, God, I'm all sweeted up now. Let's get some sugar.
Everything's sweet.
Let's get some sweet. But still magnolias. I want to go there. I mean, at least walk and take I want a sneak peek of the place. I mean, that was the house.
You've
No.
never not been in the house?
No.
Okay,
No.
well, okay, so the next time you come to town, we'll make arrangements for you to stay in the writer's cabin at Briarwood. And we'll
cool.
make sure that you get to go inside the Steel Magnolia.
Oh, cool.
Oh, awesome.
That's
Cool.
it. We're just going. We're sleeping around, girls.
Oh, hello.
Oh, well, it
I'm
happens.
sitting right here.
It happens. Well, ladies, thank you for joining us again. It's always a pleasure, and so glad you guys are all fine and safe. Really
yes.
hoping and praying that nothing more happens. Louisiana
Right.
wants to celebrate Christmas in style. They want to kick up their heels with hurricane glasses, not the hurricane winds. So, and have some good food and some partying and some good fun. Again, the website is natchitoches.com, and that's NATH. NATCHI. Okay, someone else. NATCHITOCHES.com. I was reading my writing, and that's not a good thing.
No,
And of
that's
course,
not good.
keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. You'll see our story about home and garden destinations for Natchitoches in our upcoming issue of Big Blend's Garden Gossip Home and Garden Magazine, because we got a lot of gossip. We travel just for gossip.